All right. Well, with that, we're going to get started here. I'd like to thank everybody for joining this. So this webinar is called Eliminate Fraud Before It Starts Before the Holidays. We're going to focus on some ways that businesses can prevent friendly fraud, especially relevant with Cyber Monday and Black Friday coming up. And this is brought to you by Chargeback Help, us, and Verifi. Chargeback Help and Verifi show merchants how to deflect friendly fraud and prevent disputes. And we're going to show you how we do that with a tool called Order Insight. So first, I just want to welcome to the presentation, everyone. If you have any questions, you can use the chat feature. We'll be answering them at the conclusion of the presentation. The webinar will also be recorded. You'll be able to find this on our website, on LinkedIn, or if you'd rather us send you copies directly, you can request them at info@chargebackhelp.com. And I'm just going to introduce us briefly. So I'm Eric Prus. I am the Business Development Manager at Chargeback Help. What we do is we connect merchants to effective dispute management tools through our CBH+ portal. What we do with that is we help resolve chargebacks and recover revenue, and we also help stop chargebacks. We're an authorized Verifi reseller, and today I am thankfully joined by Lisa Poulter-Tennant from Verifi. Lisa, you want to tell them a little bit about yourself?
Happy to. Thanks so much, Eric, and thanks for including us in the webinar today. As Eric mentioned, my name is Lisa Poulter-Tennant, and I lead the Global Client Relations team at Verifi. Part of my responsibility is collaborating with our authorized reseller partners, and Verifi and Chargeback Help have partnered together for a number of years to support and bring dispute management tools to the seller marketplace. So thrilled to be here with Eric today talking to you about Order Insight and how we can help you more effectively manage disputes.
Thank you so much for that, Lisa. So as I mentioned, we'll be talking about Order Insight. Lisa, do you want to talk a bit about total dispute management?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Thanks so much. So I'm going to take just a minute to give you a high-level overview of the total dispute management solutions that Verifi supports. Kicking off with Prevent or Order Insight, this particular tool is a really effective way in the pre-dispute phase of an engagement between a consumer, a merchant or seller, and the issuer in attempting to or working to prevent a dispute from occurring. What Order Insight does is it provides issuers and consumers with shared visibility to detailed purchase information in real time. And it helps both those entities, the consumer and the issuer, more easily validate the sale, which helps reduce any confusion around billing or the transaction that took place, and really helps to mitigate what we consider to be friendly fraud. Order Insight boasts a really incredible global network with over 99% of Visa issuers participating in the Order Insight process. We're going to get into a little more detail specific to Order Insight further in the presentation, but wanted to take just a minute now to sort of highlight both the global network and how through sharing data transparency, we can help you mitigate disputes before they occur. Two other solutions that I'll touch on just briefly, and these are all items that we support or that Chargeback Help supports through their partnership with Verifi as well, are both Resolve and Inform. Resolve enables sellers to resolve pre-disputes, again, items that are coming into issuers for dispute, but these solutions allow you to resolve in the pre-dispute phase, which helps you avoid the chargeback and any sort of further operational support that may be incurred through chargebacks escalating. And then we also support Inform, which is a service that allows sellers to access, it's really early access to fraud and dispute notifications. So it's real-time access when an issuer is initiating a fraud or a dispute action. It's giving you early visibility before you even see that transaction through your acquirer, which equips you to better manage your overall operations. So through that early visibility, you can help stop potential future losses. You may mitigate future billings, right, to prevent future disputes, and also help avoid shipping product on a transaction that may be in dispute. So, Eric, back to you.
Thank you for that, Lisa. Really appreciate it. So moving on, I'm going to take you guys through how total dispute management applies to Chargeback Help, in particular CBH+. And what CBH+ is, it's a suite of integrated solutions, of which Verifi is one of our huge partners, and we can present everything Lisa just talked about directly through CBH's portal. So we're going to go bit by bit through this here. So the first phase of the chargeback process is going to be the inquiry phase. And the inquiry phase is when the cardholder will find a discrepancy or has questions about a transaction. Essentially, they're calling their issuing bank and asking what's going on here. What the inquiry phase happens, what applies to that is order insight, as Lisa touched on. And you're going to get that with CBH+Deflect. It's going to deflect disputes by sending deeper transaction data to cardholders and issuers. And we'll get into it a bit more down the road here. But essentially what it does is provide the issuing bank with more information in real time that allows them to make a decision as to whether or not to allow the chargeback, and also to give the customer, a bit more awareness of the transaction to see if they'd like to continue. Moving from that, we go to the dispute phase. And this is when the issuer will investigate the matter. They may initiate a chargeback process if they find that their customer is correct or that they believe they're correct and it warrants refunding the transaction and assigning a chargeback. When this occurs, using CBH+ Resolve, which connects with Verifi's CDRN, and RDR, which is Rapid Dispute Resolution, it's going to generate an alert. With Resolve, that alert will tell the people at Verifi and at Chargeback Help that this has happened, that a chargeback has been initiated. We then will go into the payment gateway of the merchant we're working with. We will refund that transaction, and it will send an alert back to the issuing bank informing them that this has been taken care of. In the case of RDR, Rapid Dispute Resolution, this will actually automatically resolve it on its own, which means nobody on the Verifi side or the Chargeback Help side has to do anything. The alert will be generated and it'll be automatically refunded, ensuring the chargeback does not occur and register on the merchant's account. And then the last phase is the chargeback phase. And what's going to happen here is the issuing bank is going to take the transaction amount, dollar-wise, from the merchant, and they're going to refund the cardholder. Now, obviously, this is a bummer for merchants, but fortunately, Chargeback Help has our own unique solution for fighting this. We have a full dedicated team that will go and dispute these on your behalf and try to recover your revenue. And what we'll do is we will sync it to our portal. We'll upload all relevant transaction data. We will then speak with the merchants themselves to gain any other compelling evidence we have. And once we have that, we will send it directly through the acquirer, which we have connected to our portal to send directly to them to try to recover your money. And moving on, I want to touch briefly on friendly fraud, as in particular, it's relevant with the upcoming holiday season here. So there's true fraud and there's friendly fraud. And the way that I like to think of it is true fraud tends to be a bit more malicious. Basically, it's another way of talking about it is third-party fraud. That's going to be when payment information is stolen from a cardholder to make unauthorized purchases. On the other side, you have friendly fraud, which is first-party fraud. Generally, it's committed by the cardholder themselves, intentionally or unwittingly, or someone that they know who used the card without their permission. Common causes are forgetful fraud. This is really where order insight comes into play. Let's say the cardholder looks at their bank statement. They're going to see a descriptor that they don't recognize and a price on that descriptor saying how much it was for. Well, if they don't recognize it, they're going to want it back, that money back. Now, that doesn't make it any less fraud, but they're going to call the bank and initiate that. Other types are family fraud. A household member made an unauthorized purchase. Say your child purchased something for their Xbox. You realize this and you want your money back for that. So you call up and try to get a charge back and have your money returned to you. And then you have, what are closer to true fraud. You have buyer's remorse, say cognitive dissonance, shame, discontent. Someone orders something that they either regret for how much they purchased it for, or they just regret the purchase in general and they attempt to get the money back from the bank. And then we also have chargeback fraud. And this is when a cardholder just knowingly games the system. Let's say they order something from Amazon. They know if they call the bank and tell them that it was taken from their doorstep, the bank will return the funds to them. This doesn't happen too often, but it is something that happens. And that would be an example of true fraud as well. So moving on, I want to touch again about how common this is. So first of all, fraud is up 75% from 2020 to 2021. So it is becoming increasingly more common here. And, it's important to understand because I touched on true fraud. It happens. But what is interesting is that the most common instances of fraud are friendly fraud, which we suspect make up 75% of all fraud attacks. And we had 1.1 billion attacks happen in the first half of 2020. Now, obviously, no one wants to be defrauded, but it's especially significant because the cost to the merchant, we believe, is a lot greater than merchants realize. So for every $1 of fraud, you're actually dealing with $3 worth of costs. So if you earmark, say, $1 million in fraud for a particular year, well, in order for that $1 million to actually cover that fraud, that means you're only anticipating $300,000. If you actually get $1 million in fraud, dealing with it is going to cost you roughly $3 million. And so, we believe that's very important, especially as it's increasing and we have the holidays coming up. So fraud's up 75% 2020, 21, and the holidays are right around the corner, and there's no reason to anticipate it won't continue to rise. And just in general, we had 5 to 6 million attacks in North America every year. That's North America alone. And so I want to talk a bit about being prepared for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Increased sales equals increased fraud attempts, as I talked about. And when it comes to friendly fraud, something that we found interesting is that, oftentimes people that are committing friendly fraud may be existing customers, whether that started because they defrauded you in the first place and now realize they can get away with it, or if it's just the same tendencies that occur over and over and over again. And we believe the best way to do this is by using CBH+Deflect and combining it with Verifi's Order Insight. So we're going to show you how we do that. So the first stage, as I mentioned, when Order Insight is used, it's when the first part of the dispute process, when the customer calls the issuing bank. The issuing bank at the moment, pre-Order Insight, doesn't have a whole lot of information to go on. What they have is just some basic info, the descriptor, how much the product cost. So what we're going to do when we connect Order Insight to a merchant is we're going to pull all the transaction data we can from the merchant CRM. This includes stuff like purchase IP, engagement, were delivery signed for, were they on time? Is there matching credit card info? Is there someone that has used this card before here? Is the email matching? Just a lot of the different variables that will allow us to tell whether or not this is fraud or if this person is telling the truth. And the nice thing about Order Insight is you don't have to wait a couple of days for this. The issuing bank will be able to pull this up in, we believe, about 3 seconds. So you're dealing with real-time data that's going to show you the entire fulfillment lifecycle right there. And now Lisa's going to talk a bit about how Order Insight is going to enrich the customer experience.
Thanks, Eric. As he mentioned, Order Insight, right, is really that mechanism for giving consumers and issuers visibility to real-time transaction data that helps them move smoothly and hopefully without dispute through that pre-dispute process. There are 2 primary ways that occurs, and I'm going to break each one of those down in a little more detail. The first is what we call the cardholder digital experience. Now, over the course of the last couple of years, we've seen huge advancements in the technology that issuers and merchants are using as ways to connect with their consumers. And Order Insight has really connected seamlessly through this process. So if you think about your preferred card issuer and how you use either their online banking or mobile banking applications to look at your activity on your card, Order Insight connects seamlessly with that opportunity. So it allows consumers to really self-serve if they have questions relative to transactions that they've purchased. Through online banking or mobile banking, we equip sellers with the capability to look at prior transaction detail, information about the merchant that may help prompt recognition of the transaction, and other details. And the piece that's so meaningful about the digital experience is by equipping the consumer to self-serve, not only is it helping you to deflect or prevent disputes in the pre-dispute phase before they ever occur, it's also providing some really strong operational savings for the seller as well. So again, by equipping the seller to self-serve, it is reducing or mitigating the number of inquiries that come into your call center, that you receive via email or chat, etc. So it's improving your overall operations, reducing that operational expense, and of course, most importantly, equipping the consumer to quickly and easily get to information that's meaningful for them and helps mitigate disputes. There's also what we call if we can go back for just a second, the call center experience. And so Order Insight also has applicability for issuers who are on the phone with the consumer, walking through questions or inquiries that they have around transaction. So in that same mechanism, the issuer can access sale transaction data through Order Insight that equips them to correspond more effectively with the consumer while they have them on the phone, again, for the purpose of sort of working through those friendly fraud inquiries and helping to reduce those disputes. Okay, next slide, please.
Sure. Thank you for that, Lisa. And now Lisa's going to talk about it from the cardholder's perspective.
So what you see on the screen here is a good representation of what what that consumer digital experience looks like. So if you think, I don't know about you guys, but I am frequently on my card issuing application on my mobile phone, looking at activities and particularly on the card that I've chosen to allow my teenage daughter to use. So some of the benefits of that is by being able to look at the online app, I can see transactions not only that I've made, but transactions she's made as well, and dig into those a little bit deeper if I have questions. So you can see on the screen, it gives you a couple of views of the level of information that's supported through Order Insight that allows you as a seller to make information available to your consumer right at their fingertips. So it improves the ability for your consumers to recognize transactions, which equips you not only to reduce disputes, but again, to improve the cardholder experience because they can get to that information quickly and independently, which also saves you operational costs. Eric had mentioned previously some of the details that are supported through Order Insight, but key items like the seller name, maybe how long they've been a customer of yours, item descriptions, shipping information if you ship product, or usage or access information if they're accessing digital goods through your site. So definitely things to engage with Chargeback Help and talk through how this can benefit your business. With as I mentioned before, we have 99% issuer coverage on the call center experience and growing coverage from a digital perspective with 3 of the top 10 credit issuers participating and 2 of the top 10 debit issuers participating. So great opportunities to help improve experience for your consumers and reduce your disputes for sure.
Thank you so much for that, Lisa. So yeah, I want to talk briefly about putting it all together and how this all works. So you can see on the screen a graphic here. And so Deflect, that's the Chargeback Help product, which is integrated with Verifi. That's going to connect your gateway and your CRM to Prevent, which is the Verifi solution Order Insight. And what Prevent is going to do is it's going to connect cardholders directly to their issuing banks. Chargeback Help is the merchant-facing side of this. We manage APIs and merchant assets to Verifi infrastructure, but we do not access or warehouse any merchant data. You will never have to worry about us storing anything from you. And then on the consumer-facing side, we have Verifi. They're going to manage connections to the issuer and the cardholder. And all Visa issuers using VROL must connect to Prevent and Order Insight, which makes up about 99% of all Visa issuers. So in conclusion, I just want to bring this all together. Look, friendly fraud is by far the most common fraud attack on merchants. And this is particularly relevant because often friendly fraud, someone who's committed friendly fraud, when the issuing bank uses Order Insight, may actually realize their mistake and that data will actually be deflected. But without having Order Insight, you have no real way to stop that, and so friendly fraud will continue. And again, I also want to mention, we suspect that it's up to 75% of all fraud attacks in the United States. And again, it's up 75% also in total from 2020 to 2021. And again, we're going to stop it by using real-time transaction data. And that's the merchant's best defense against first-party and friendly fraud. As I mentioned, we're going to hook up directly to a merchant CRM, and that's going to pull all kinds of details that Lisa and myself touched on. We do this with Order Insight. It's going to enhance the customer's experience with your brand. It's going to make it easier for them to get the information that they're looking for from the bank. And it's also going to protect you from dealing with too much friendly fraud and actually maybe cut back some of those costs you earmark for at the start of every year. And then CBH+Deflect, that's our solution. It's a card agnostic solution to connect verified dispute management tools. We have a number of other tools as well. And yeah, that's going to help you lower fraud as well and also help you recover revenue. As I mentioned, we have a dedicated team that does that full time, just goes and disputes these transactions on your behalf and tries to keep you from losing too much money to fraud every year. So I wanted to thank everybody for joining us here today. If you have any questions, you can enter them into the chat now, and we'll address them as time allows. And additionally, if you want to contact us directly and have any pricing questions or inquiries specific to your business, you can reach me, Eric Bruce, at eric@chargebackhelp.com, or you can call me at 1-800-975-9905. So if you have any questions, you can just please enter them into the chat now. That would be great. Oh, all right. It does not look like we have any questions. So that is great. Again, if anything comes up or if you want to reach out to me, never mind. Do we have any particular parameters to deflect friendly fraud? Lisa, do you want to address this? You said like what kind of emails and IP?
Sorry, I didn't get the question. What was that?
Apologies. It said, do you have any particular parameters to detect friendly fraud? Like what kind of emails and IP will they get?
Oh, got it. Okay. Parameters to detect friendly fraud. I don't know that I'm not sure that I would articulate it like by an email or by an IP address. But what I can tell you is that in our engagement direct with the issuers who are using Order Insight, what they've shared with us is they're really using the Order Insight detail to be able to match the information that they have on file for their cardholder with information that's present in the transaction that's being disputed. So in order for them to deflect a dispute, they have to be able to have some meaningful tie that the transaction ties back to their cardholder. And they're looking at things like, does the name on the sale transaction match what they have on file for their consumer? Does the address, the phone number, the email address match? Does the IP or device ID tie back to IP or device information that's used when their cardholder is engaging with them electronically? So hopefully that helps answer the question, but it's those are the types of data elements that are being used for the issuer to be able to tie back that it's more friendly fraud versus non-friendly fraud.
And then Greg has a question as well. He asks, how does the integration work? Is it via the merchant gateway or through the merchant CRM? Lisa, do you mind taking this?
Sure, happy to. From an integration perspective, you would integrate directly through Chargeback Help using Eric. I'm not sure if you want to reference the.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think I misunderstood the question. I thought he meant Order Insight in general. But yeah, you'd integrate directly through Chargeback Help. So you'd use the Chargeback Help portal to see all of this. In terms of how we would set you guys up with Order Insight, so when it comes to the merchant gateway, that's going to be your CDRN, your RDRs, stuff like that. For Order Insight, I believe we're going to do it through the CRM, and I can get more granular in a separate call, but generally we're going to need either 5 ARNs to get you guys set up or your bin and CADE numbers. Lisa, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we'd be going through the CRM for Order Insight, and then the gateway would be for RDR and CDRN.
Correct.
Are there any other questions? All right. Well, thank you guys very much for joining us. I really appreciate you guys taking the time. And Lisa, I really, really appreciate you joining us today. It was wonderful having you on here and sharing the Verifi perspective.
Thank you. It was great to be part of the presentation. Thanks all.
And again, guys, if you have any questions, you can email me at Eric, E-R-I-K, at chargebackhelp.com, or give me a call at 800-975-9905. And if you want to learn about our full suite of dispute management tools, go to our website, chargebackhelp.com. If you have any questions or want to see the presentation itself again, you can email us at info@chargebackhelp.com. Thanks again for joining us, everybody. We really appreciate it.